Hello and welcome to another glorious read. I am Aspen, your host. Let's get into it. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. It is beautiful here. It is cold. I have a fear that we are going to get snow very, very soon. Although I do enjoy the snow, I don't mind the power outages because, well, I can light up a candle or a lantern and read a book. So power outages don't bother me much. I do just light a fire if it gets cold. I do want to say in this podcast, I feel and I hope the people that were affected by this natural disaster come back up swinging. My heart goes out to you guys that you lost the things that you cherish, and I do hope that you guys rebound back. My blessing goes to you guys. But like I said, it's getting cold here, and the leaves are changing quite fast. A lot of yellows and reds this year, and they've been just dropping as soon as they're turning, what surprises me. What doesn't also bother me, because I prefer the leaves. I like the colors. I even collect the little tiny maple leaves and put them in resin on pendants so that they can go on my shop for sale for anybody who wants to wear a little autumn color. Recently on my shop, I've been working on leather hair pieces that I've been designing. So far I have 2 made. I have not put them on my shop yet, but I'm getting there because I'm still working out the kinks of it. I also do want to remind everybody who does listen to my podcast, I am not a professional. I do this for fun. That is why we're here. It's to have fun and listen about books and reviews. I do not clean up my act. What you hear is what you get. I do not curve my words. The only time I do that is with my feral child. So let's get into it. Last episode we talked about the X-Clan series by Lexi C. Foss. I went over the 4 books that she has written with their main characters and what I thought about them. If you recall in the last episode, I also talked about a special alpha who is magical in a way. Like I said, Lexi has a way of making different things come up and makes you want to read the next series. So at the end of book, I believe it was 3, Before the Origins, is when they were taking down the different sector and they've heard about an Omega that heals. Well, that magical alpha comes to help Riley because she asked for it. And our special alpha, Kieran, is actually a prince alpha. So the basic way I could think of it when I was reading these books is that these V-clan alphas are like the purest of pure blood. Like they don't, they're not like the X-clan wolves or the W-clan wolves. Like there's a whole bunch of different clans. So these guys are like the most powerful and like the pure bloods, and everybody wants to be with the alpha princes. So starting on this book, we have the blood sector. And the blood sector involves Kieran, our main character, who's our healing alpha, and Quinlan, who is like a princess in a way. So she comes to him in the beginning of the book and basically propose they mate. He not sure how to handle this and why she came to him instead of a different blood prince kind of thing. She basically says, nope, you're my choice, and we're going to have an arranged marriage. He is tossing up the idea, but he agrees to it. He says there's no going back. So she bites him, draws his blood, to basically have this bond. They're not fully mated. They will supposed to be, but she takes off running, and he is furious. He is stuck with her kingdom. He's got to run everything. She's supposed to be his proposed, like, she's supposed to be there by his side, but she up hightailed and run. Well, they have been in a century-long chase where he has been close to catching her, and she always takes off running because she can feel him, and she is not ready to be caught yet to basically claim the throne. So Quinlan ends up in the sector with these Omegas that were abused, and she was basically healing them. But instead of giving off her Omega traits, she takes those suppressants. I've talked about this in the previous episode about suppressants basically stopping Omega's heat or any heat cycle. So basically, she wouldn't fall prey to the alphas that came to the sector. Well, in that book, in the beginning of their book, Kieran basically says, our chase is done. I finally caught you. It's time to come home. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So the only reason why she heals is because she has his blood, and his blood is the only reason why she has this ability to heal. She decided this because she needed it for something important. Her, I guess, magic in a way, or her life force, is feeding a different part of the world. A shield, if you will. Let's put it this way. There's an island or a sector that doesn't exist that is just for Omegas. Quinlan's parents were killed in a plane crash. She is pretty sure that an Alpha Prince caught it, but she's pretty sure Kieran's not the one to do it because he never came after her as a mate. So she thought he was the safest bet to not give up the secrets to. So after returning, Kieran finds out that basically she has put herself in a predicament where she is dissociating from her animal side, her wolf, because she refused to shift, she refused to go into heat, she refused to drink blood. So Beacon wolves actually need blood to sustain their lifestyle. They need it like once a month, and Quinlan hasn't gotten it at all. So what Kieran has done is actually he's taken in the humans that haven't been infected and offers them protection and a place to live safely for them to basically tax their blood. So when Kieran does show Quinlan around the new sector, he does tell them that they have these humans here, and he calls them their sheep and basically his flock, and they don't like that, but they're not going to say anything against the man that protects them. So anyways, so her wolf and her aren't clicking, and he basically uses his healing magic to make her better. She does go into heat. He wants to claim her, but he doesn't trust her yet because of how she ran from him. So he's doing a test with her, and she's not sure if she can trust him. So it's back and forth, and something happens where they're finally like, you know what, let's do this. She tells him about the sanctuary. She says she's not going to tell him what it is, but she wants to show him. And she went to go take him there, but the problem is because they weren't fully bonded, he couldn't pass through the barrier, but she could. Okay, this is where things get tricky. He's bounced back, and she's gone forward, and their bond kind of snaps. And he's pretty sure she has full-on rejected him again. So this whole Cavasso happens. She ends up going in heat at this Omega Sanctuary. He's at his kingdom. He's pissed off because he thinks that she up and left him again. And it comes down to actually his elites, one being his cousin, one being his best friend. And basically, Quinlan's best friend, who is also an Omega that lives at the sanctuary, Kira, who is a crossbreed. She's a half-breed. She has quite a title that follows her around. She basically has to go back to the blood sector to Kieran, and she brings some of Quinlan's blood around. And, well, she's caught by his two elites, Lorcan and Achillean, I believe his name is. And so they're not happy with her being there, and Kieran starts asking her, bombarding her with questions like, what's the sector, or what's the sanctuary, where did she go, why did she leave me, why do you have her blood? And she's like, God, you ask too much questions for an alpha. So Kira is more of that upbeat person. She doesn't give a crap, and I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. So Quinlan basically, she's in heat, she needs Kieran, and Kira is like, well, you need to come back with me regardless. And his elites are like, absolutely not, it's not happening. They're talking telepathically, and it turns out that neither of them want to mate, but they said, Kira's like, you need to be mated to go through the barrier. And um, basically, one of his elites steps up and says, well, you're taking one of us and you're unmated, so we're going to do this whole mate thing quickly, and you're going to take us with him to make sure he's safe. And Kieran's like, you both are freaking nuts. She's a vampire wolf. Don't be stupid. And basically, his cousin, Lorcan, steps up and says, this doesn't, concern you, even though it's about you. So, needless to say, Lorcan and Kira hitch up and take Kieran to Quinlan. And it basically turns into this whole, they finally mate kind of thing, and he learns about the sanctuary, and they're like, okay, cool. Well, Kira is not happy about being bonded to Lorcan. And Quinlan's like, oh, it's not so bad. I'm sure he's a great guy. And Kieran and Quinlan find out that the jewelry that she was wearing is enchanted, and it was made basically to kill her, and it was just this whole twist. She's pretty sure somebody from the inside is trying to find out about the sanctuary that has nothing but omegas in it, and everybody wants the omegas, of course. And the story twists so bad, and it's not like a bad thing, it's a really good thing. And Kieran and Quinlan basically head back home. They start questioning these alphas that were part of Quinlan's parents' elite force and stuff. And they basically left Kira alone. So I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to give out too many details. So in this book, Kieran is probably my favorite because he's such a... he's not a romantic, but at the same time, he's very tender to his Omega. And he loves her, and he wants to take care of her, but she's also, constantly on the run, being a smart ass. But he's very kind, and he helps her, reassociate with her wolf and pushes her to her breaking point in a good way to get her to reattach and, be one with herself again. So basically, in the end of the book, they become, king and queen. I give this book definitely a 4.5 rating. Spice level, we'll go with 4 on this. I wish there was more, but it was pretty good. It was intense at times, but it was definitely worth it. So we're going to roll into the second book of the series called The Night Sector. This book revolves around Lorcan and Kara. Kara is, like I said, a vampire werewolf crossbreed, and she was mated beforehand to a vampire lord that she killed. So she's basically known as an alpha killer, and now she is stuck mated to Lorcan, who both of them are like, we don't want to be mated to each other, but we're going to deal with it. Well, through these matings, they're able to communicate with each other, they're able to feel each other, see memories, stuff like that. Well, Kara suffers from really bad past memories with the past alpha she had. And Lorcan always picks up on it, and he's like, well, I'm sorry that you feel this way. Well, things happen inside the kingdom, and he ends up returning to her, and, they deal with these things together. Well, Kira's vampire ex-lover is not as quite dead as they thought. There was some brain control done within the kingdom to find this sanctuary. So again, Lexi, twisted the books to make you engaged again. And Kara and Logan are very funny together. I don't have a favorite in this book because both of them just hit the T each time. Lorcan's this big, strong guy that's like, I don't want to be mated to you, but feel free to, bite me and suck on some blood if you need to. And Kara's like, I don't need you, I don't need a man around, but she goes into heat and she's just like, okay. She goes, I need you around. Like, in the beginning, he's like, she's like, oh, you're going to just leave me here if I go into heat by myself to be in pain? And he's like, well, do you want me to be here when you, go into heat to help you? And she goes, no. And he's like, well, there's your answer. Then I'm not going to assist you. So they're very funny how they bicker and bant. And where Lorcan is Kieran's cousin and Kara is Quinlan's best friend, they're kind of like two besties getting together. Like, they're both trusted. And so, like I said, Kira's ex-lover is not actually dead. He comes to collect her. And basically, at that point, it's a battle of wills between Kara's ex-lover and Lorcan. Because both of them want to keep the Omega. And Kara's like half drugged out of her mind because something about vampire venom and stuff like that. Although her werewolf part is like, no, our mate is elsewhere. So, basically, Lorcan somehow manages to break through the fog and tells her to come back to her nest right now with a big command. And somehow she managed to shadow back home, away from her lover. And yeah, he goes in for a rage. He's trying to basically call her back, and Lorcan won't let him because he's got this ability to keep her in place, like locked down, like so she can't shadow out to go back to him when he calls. He's such a powerful character. The way he doesn't over dominate her, but yet he's like, I know where you hide your knives. I will keep you from shadowing out if I have to. And, he's like, but I don't want to. I want to give you free will. And she's okay with that. And it's funny how these two, as they call it, foreplay, every time she talks about, like, wanting to kill him or, like, cut his throat or anything like that or suck him dry, he's like, ooh, you're feisty. I like it when you talk like that. A little foreplay before, things get interesting. So they end up bonding very well together, and they become basically inseparable. Well, the vampires that basically stole her, again, Kieran comes along, all those X-Clan alphas come along, and, they basically hunt down the vampires. Like, they're like, nope, you guys are gone, you guys are too rogue, but they find out that it's on this, island with, one of the characters from the X-Clan books. He fell there, and that's a series I have not read yet. I will get there, because I needed to take a break before I end up reading all of Lexi's books before I got there, before she had any more written. So Lorcan and Kara, they become a new king and queen of the new sector. By new sector, I mean the sanctuary. They're claiming it as a new V-Clan sector. And of course, my favorite guy from the X-Clans, Kizek, was like, well, why don't you rename it and just claim it as your property? Like, nobody's gonna go against you guys. Come on now. And they just looked at him like he's crazy. He's like, what? That's what I would have done. As he just, like, in previous books, collected his own sector. Like, he's like, you guys need to stop thinking so much wolf-like and, contact your more human side. And they just kind of look at him. They're like, oh my god, he's crazy, but he's fucking right. So, yeah, they now take the sanctuary and they call it the Night Sector because it's in the frozen Arctic. And they basically open the borders to Alpha and Omega pairs. No alphas that aren't mated are allowed to enter. Just mated pairs, but they had to go to a selection thing through Kieran and Quinlan because that's their protection. They have to protect that sanctuary. But they also offered the Omegas this plan to basically go into a dating ring, is the best way I could think of it, where they become basically bachelorettes or bachelors because there are male Omegas to find suitable mates. At the end of the book, there's a twist where it's the third book that Lexi has not released yet. It is coming out October 17th. It is called The Eclipse Sector, where Kieran's other elite is in the previous books he's constantly being harassed by a little Omega who chooses not to mate except to him, and he always rejects her. In the end, she is part of the dating ring, and he loses his mind. Like, he's like, what the flying F is going on here? Like, he's contacting his king, and his king's like, what? You said you weren't interested in her, and so she's going out on the dating pool. And then he's like, that's not okay. Like, no, she can do it. And then he's like, no, it's not okay. And he goes back and forth, and he goes, oh, is there a problem? Do you want me to enter you in the alphas that are available? And he's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Let her do what she wants. And I have a feeling that book's going to be about them basically finally giving in to each other. And I can't wait to read that book. And, like, I'm counting down the days. Like, October 17th can't come fast enough. So, yes, the V-Clan series is definitely something that you guys need to look at. So, yeah. For Lord King Kara, I give that book a solid 5. I had to give it a 5. Like, that one was just, like, top peaked amazing. Because I love their dynamics, and I love how they go. And their spice level, I'll definitely give that a 4.5. Because there was a good amount of spice. It wasn't like, oh my, over God bearing. But it wasn't like, okay. It was beautifully done. Lexi did an amazing job with this book, and I again loved how she rolled it over and how she incorporated the first book to the second book. So yeah, I'm excited for book 3 to see how that one plays out. And like I said, there's other books that tie into the series. Like, there's so many, and I think there's vampire ones I haven't checked out yet, and I think there may be fae, I'm not sure, but it's definitely worth looking into. So that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you do enjoy. Next episode, we are going to talk about a couple more books that I have read. I am working on a new book after I have completed my series that I have been writing. I'm still doing some nitpicking and plot fixing. It's kind of hard, but you know, it's going. That's the beauty about being an author, is you can always change things and make things better or worse. But that's a part of being an author, is you get to create these beautiful things. But like I said, I'm working on a new book. I have written my 12th series of the Celestial Demigod series, but I had to stop because I've read them so much and corrected them so much that I'm worried that I'm overcorrecting at this point. So I had to start a new book, and I'm not sure if this one's going to be standalone yet or not. It's kind of leaning that way. I think it's going to be more of a short paranormal shifter romance, but I haven't decided yet. It's still early in the works, so I don't have to make a decision yet. I am definitely not one to have like multiple notes everywhere. I just do it as I go. So, yeah, I do have some notes, but not a lot. Like, I just write descriptions and characters' names and what they do. But that is the end of this episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoy and you continue to listening to me on this podcast. I will be posting every Friday if I can. And that's it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and keep on smiling and happy vibes. Thank you and goodbye.